As members of Congress start to return home following the chamber's early release for summer break, questions surrounding the speedy decision continue to grow amid the controversy over the transparency of the Epstein files. Now, several Republicans who represent the Inland Northwest in the House are calling for the Trump administration to release more information surrounding the files. KREM 2's Christian Garza sat down with Eastern Washington Congressman Michael Baumgartner today to talk about the files and what his constituents can expect from him when the chamber returns in September.
House Speaker Mike Johnson is facing backlash over social media after sending lawmakers home early amid Epstein file votes pushes from both sides of the aisle. Now, some are saying it was to avoid voting about it altogether. On his first day back from the Capitol, Congressman Baumgartner sat down to speak about his thoughts on the files. Where do you stand on releasing more information and being just transparent about this case as a whole?
Well, there's still a lot of questions about Epstein, a lot of interest in the public. So I think the best thing to do is try to get as much of the information out as possible. So I do support releasing any and all files that there are on Epstein. I think all that process is underway, with the Department of Justice. It's not that, Congress doesn't have the files. There's a lot of dispute about are there any? I mean, there are files, but what's in the files? We've all read those that are following the case. People like his former attorney Alan Dershowitz saying that there's not a lot in there, but there's a lot of public interest, in what we just want to do is be as transparent as possible. So what is there that can be released in a way that doesn't re-traumatize those victims and works under the law, that should happen, and then I think the country can move forward.
Congressman Baumgartner, many critics actually say that House Speaker Mike Johnson actually, rushed into this summer break for you guys, specifically to avoid voting on these Epstein files. What do you think about that? Yeah,
I don't think that's accurate at all. I think that's just coming from some fake news and Democrats that are trying to play politics. I'm here today because we got out one day early for our summer recess, and so I think that's a little much ado about nothing and just kind of politics as usual.
KREM 2 also reached out to Congressman Dan Newhouse about the files, and he agreed with Baumgartner's sentiment, saying in part, "I support the Department of Justice releasing the documents as long as the privacy of the victims is completely protected. If nothing has been released by the time Congress returns from recess, then we should discuss further action." During the interview, Congressman Baumgartner talked about some of the bills he helped vote for, like approving the Trump administration's request to cut over $9 billion for foreign aid and the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, despite its track record in educational programming for rural areas across the country like Spokane.
Well, we need to look at all areas that we can to save on funding. And, I like PBS and public broadcasting. We watch a little Doc Martin and a little Masterpiece Theater, a little Dora the Explorer in the morning with the kids and Curious George. But the reality is a very small percentage of the funding for those stations comes from the federal taxpayers, and we have to look at areas where we can save. And we got to make sure that dollars are available for education programmings and places that there are most needed. So it's not really a question of does it have value or not. The question is it a priority or not for what we have to fund across the country? And so I think public television in a year from now will still be there, and I think it'll do fine, and we'll focus on other areas of important spending.
The House and Senate are scheduled to return to the Capitol after Labor Day. In the newsroom, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.